Hey guys, welcome to the Centre Bounce. In today's video, we're looking at all the break-evens, all the players that you guys should bring into your teams, and maybe some guys that you should kick out. Stay tuned. Joe, I had just thought about it. Before we started to make this video, I'm like, it's the only week, I think, outside of round one, where there's no must-have players to bring in. There's no one on the bubble. I don't know what teams, maybe all the teams planned it this way, but it sounds about right, right?
Yeah, 100%. No one on the bubble. However, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily a difficult decision at the same time.
No.
Because we do know that we can look ahead and we can see who the players are going to be on the bubble next week, and we can sort of formulate a plan on who are the types of players that we're going to bring in next week. And I think many people thus far have been doing that and have been trading in someone earlier than they otherwise would have. And it's normally a cardinal sin. You never trade in a rookie before their bubble. However, this seems to be one of those rare circumstances where it just could work out, especially in a best 18 round format.
Oh, 100%. Like, if you want to make some upgrades next week, and I can already think off the top of my head 3 players who, are playing their second game this week in Comben and Graham and hopefully Closey. If all 3 are named and they're all going to play, hey, you're going to have to make some changes because I don't think people are going to triple downgrade next week.
Yeah. Oh, you would not think so. And it's no surprise that the lowest break even in the game at the moment is Sam Kahisi himself.
Well,
obviously a 108 if you don't mind.
Yep.
And, glowing praise, and rightfully so. The kid had an absolute blinder. Now, I say he's a kid. He's 21 years old, so he's not a true kid. So he's mature age body, and it looks like he's ready to hit the ground running. He's got the Hawks this week. Could potentially have us another nice score, and I see a lot of people looking to trade him in this week to try and capitalize on that.
Yeah, I think as well, just kind of a lot of us have a Nick Dacos in the back line, potentially a Zach Reed as well, who, are currently not playing. If you've got a rookie in there who can pump out big numbers, I mean, this is what Rowell, or I don't think Sam Walsh, but maybe even a Tim Kelly or a Harry Sheasel type numbers first game. So, yeah, going to make us a bit of money if he plays. But we've looked at Sexton, Joe. We've looked at a few of these other guys. They're not going to play anymore. Dimmer's come out.
Where Sexton is, Big J?
He's not here. He's in the bin. Not yet. I mean, next week. Next week in the bin. But yeah, Sexton he's been kicked out by all these players, and congratulations for us. We actually get downgrade options because it was looking hairy. It was looking atrocious. We couldn't even change players in our team. We have to bring in 1 or 2K rookies to make things happen. So very, very happy that he's got, he's playing at the moment, and no more buy for a while. So yeah, it's great.
Correct. And he's going to get DPP. If he plays these next 2 games, he'll also get DPP in time for round 7. So excellent. This guy has absolutely come out of the clouds, Jeremy Sharp, with that 126 last week. I'm one of those proud owners of Jeremy Sharp, and he is going to continue making us money.
Yeah, it's sucks for those people like George, I think, potentially maybe a JD who don't have Jeremy Sharp. You couldn't get everybody, but missing out on him, and we said it in the preseason. He's got a set role. He's going to play every week. And, mate, last week he played. 126 was fantastic. And as you say, Joe, should at least get to about that 350K mark. So would you bring him in is kind of the big question with him and a Tom Brown this week. If you know what you're going to get, would you bring him in or just kind of say, well, too bad, and then move on?
I do think the ship has sailed. I think you're not looking to trade in 255K. I know there was a lot of people that were probably saying that it was too late to get on Ollie Dempsey, who's in our forward lines, and he was 220.
I think there's a bit of a difference as well because Sharp's had 2 price increases, whereas Dempsey's only had the 1. So it does make a bit of a difference there.
Correct. But you'd also be anticipating better scoring from a Dempsey than from a Sharp. But even despite only having the 1 price increase, people were still saying that Dempsey's gone up too much. And if they're saying that about Dempsey, then you're definitely saying that about Jeremy Sharp, because you don't really want to be spending 255k for a winger. Now, is he going to give us more money moving forward? He really could. I mean, a negative 51 break even is insane. And if he scores a 68, which he's beaten so far, in 3 of the 4 rounds, I don't think he's going to score 60. I think he might score maybe around a 70, just around, let's just say around that mark. He'll go up 54k, and if he goes against 65, another 37. But if he goes 80s, you might be thinking that rather than putting on 80k, he could put up 100k. And if you anticipate 80s coming out of Jeremy Sharp, then go for it. He's going to make you another 100k if he does that. But if you think he's only going to go 60s, like as is projected for him, then he's going to go up 80k. He's going to miss out on an extra 20k in cash. For me, I think it's a bit of a gamble on Jeremy Sharp to go 80s every week. It's up to you what your risk tolerance is, because you are paying up a bit more for him, 131 extra k for him.
I personally, if someone said, "Hey, Big J, would you do it?" I'd be like, "Nah, don't do it." The ship's sailed. It sucks you don't have him, but you got Caleb Graham for the same amount of. I think it's Will Graham. I think it's Will Graham, the kid, for around the same price. Well, not for around the same price. Sorry, for 117k, and you already make 140k on it. So it sucks, but right now you want to upgrade. You're not sidewaysing into Jeremy Sharp, unfortunately.
Yep, fair enough. Nate Smith only played one game.
Could be named. Could be named.
Yeah. Charlie Dean, nut. Jared Lyons, nut. Comben, negative 40 break. Bro, Travis is going to freaking comment in again saying, I freaking hate I hate Brisbane players. Bro, he has to be named. If he's named, then sure, get him in. Yeah. But if he's not named, then he's not in. Like, it is what it is. Charlie Comben played the one game. It was a ripping game. 129. Great role. Intercept marking. The ball's living down there. You could even potentially go early on him if you want, but I think probably better to wait a week, make sure he gets through this one unscathed, and then definitely get him in next week.
And that's the big thing, right? Is that if you bring in a 102k or a 117k rookie, you're looking to do a lot better than if you you can obviously make a bit of money, less risk because they're only spending 102k. Imagine if Comben gets injured, you bring him in, something happens because his injury history is not the best. He hasn't had a lot of soft tissue, but he always breaks something, right? So Charlie Comben, that's what happens. You would hate yourself. And then you've got 227k that now you have to trade out because it's a liability. So wait the week. I'm not sure how good he's going to go against Tom Hawkins and Jezza Cameron and all their gun forwards. He's playing intercept key defender, so there is something to be said there. But wait a week, guys. You don't need to bring him in.
Alternatively, he could get a lot of points because, especially if they're very inaccurate, then he's receiving a lot of kick-ins. He didn't take any kick-ins himself, but he received a lot of kick-ins. So maybe if the Cats are inaccurate, we could see another monster game from Comben.
That's true, but I think right now having the money is probably worth a little bit better for us than like Comben, like Alex Sexton to Comben is a free trade next week, for 40k. So just wait a week. Just not North Melbourne tricky.
Yeah. We then move down to Tom Brown. Now he's already had one price rise, and this 95 just came out of the blue. He was like looking like Caleb Daniel for a little bit with some of that ball use out of the back line. He looked wonderful.
Yeah. In terms of price and going up in price, he's one that potentially I know some people are looking to jump on. He has lost a bit of points like already. You've lost that money. He's only 60k though. So it's a little bit less than a Dempsey and potentially a Sharp. And the only thing that really hurts him is the buy round. So you get him in now, decent game. But look at his projections, Joe. Like 71, I don't know how much it's going to happen. But he could be 300k, could be 320k in a couple of weeks. And yeah, for a lot of people who are struggling to make some money, maybe you've missed out on a sharp. You don't want to go there. You could go a Tom Brown. It just depends because Gold Coast do have a lot of players that you want in over the next weeks, and that's Will Graham, who we're going to talk about coming up soon. It's a bit iffy at the moment, I think.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the
Would you get
buy,
him in? Would you get
if it
him in?
wasn't for the buy, then yes.
Yeah.
But because of the buy, it's a no for me. Max Ramsden, I know a lot of people are looking into him. For me, I think the big issue for him is that job security, and I think Mitch Lewis comes back by the time he's on his bubble. So I would probably avoid Max. No need to risk going in early. See how he goes again this week, and see then if he's on the bubble. If he's named again on the bubble. So at this point, I wouldn't be rushing to get Max in.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is, does he ruck? What's happening with all the ruck situations down at Hawks? So I wouldn't do it.
Sam Darcy, he's already gone up 80k. He's got the Bombers this week. He's going to smash that -21 break even. That's for sure. So I don't think it's too late if you haven't got him. Obviously,
last week though, like everyone had Sam Darcy.
Correct. Yeah, everyone's got Sam Darcy. I mean, 109.54 against the Eagles, soft kill, but he didn't really capitalize. And the Cats kicking 3 goals against the Cats is really impressive. I can only imagine how many goals he's going to kick against us. Look, it's going to be good to have as an owner, but as an Essendon supporter, it's going to be bad.
Well, I said the same thing about Dempsey in our tips part of the video, like just before. There's no friends in Supercoach, Joe. You pick your players you like, and congratulations, Sam Darcy. Hope he comes out and scores like 8 goals this week because he's got him in our teams, but it sucks for Essendon.
Yes, absolutely. Will Graham is that second Gold Coast player. And the thing with him that was really cool, he was 4th in line for the CBAs over there last week. Now, does he keep that role coming into this week? We get a free look at it. He's not on the bubble just yet. We have a look and we see if he's got that role again this week, he's an absolute must-have to get the following week.
Yeah, it's he's one to definitely watch. I would not be getting him in this week, as Joe says, but next week, mate, he's in my team.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Jacob Weir, 84k. He's already gone up, so that's 2 price rises. Do we anticipate him to make you another 100k moving forward?
I think he definitely keeps his spot, but if you look at his last 2 levels of scoring, like a 69, a 58, around the 70 mark the entire time. So I don't think he's going to be, you must have me in your team. But for those people that did select him, I know there's a couple. Congratulations. You're probably going to get to like 250k. And that's all you really need.
Correct. If you missed him, too late. Sean Manor, he could be a constable and not get that 3rd game. Unlikely. Surely
he'll play. He'll play at some point, but Stengel's on fire. Dempsey's keeping out of him a spot at the moment. But Brian Myers, who's just everywhere. Like, there needs to be massive injuries at Geelong for it to happen.
Yeah.
And that's the only problem.
Yeah, exactly. Harvey Gallagher, gone up 34k. He's already gone up 83. I would not be spending this much money, especially when you're looking to get a Combin next week, who's also over 200k. If Georgiades is a must-have, going around 100 again next week, he's also over 200k. There's going to be a limit to how many of these 200k players you can get. So I think Harvey Gallagher's, for his output, 83,000 extra is too much.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. And his first game wasn't bad, but after that, I think he's fallen off a little bit, and last week really hurt him. So I think, it's a no for me. There's a lot of options over the next couple of weeks, and outside of a Combin who does have a lot better break even and could pop out almost keeper number scores for us, I don't think we're bringing in these people, Joe. Someone number 14 on the list. I know you're a big fan Only scored the 49, kicked a couple of goals, really didn't do anything outside of that, but could do okay against West Coast, maybe not. Lloyd Meek is one that we've spoken about a lot before, and he's someone that a lot of people are bringing in this week. Give us the
It
spiel,
is.
Lloyd Meek. What's happening? Do we considering? Do we not? Mate, I know George is a big factor in a lot of people doing this because if they didn't, like, if he wasn't talking about it a lot, probably wouldn't happen. But yeah, Lloyd Meek, in or out? What's the goss?
Bro, I can see it. If he wasn't playing Wits this week, then it would be a lot more enticing.
Yep.
Look what he scored last time they played each other.
Yep.
5.
It's not going to happen though.
I know, but it's just so funny to look at. 5. High five. 5. And then he's got Sherry, who, if you would have seen in our captaincy video, in our final trade, Sherry's doing a great job against opposition rucks. And then he's got Grundy the following week. And then he's got English, Marshall, before finally getting maybe an easier matchup against Soldo. But, like, it's not an easy run.
No.
And if he goes at 80s, it's not good enough. He costs 357. And if he goes and scores a 61, he'll got
even
34.
Like a 70 or an 80. Like, you're losing out at that point, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I understand that it's a cash grab and you're really keen to make money and free up some cash if you have like a Grundy, for example, in that position. And it can be a bit of a sugar hit, but the problem though with it is if the pick fails, you've got no alternative option. You're going to have to trade him out again. And if he doesn't make money, sufficient enough money to warrant using 2 trades, and each trade's about 100,000. So I think there's a lot of risk. And Reeves, if he's killing it in the VFL, they might give him a call up again.
Yeah, and I know Max Ramsden, who we spoke about before, has been pinch hitting, I think, a little bit in the ruck as well. Hence his half decent scores. So yeah, take it as you want, guys. If the pick doesn't work, it's going to hurt. He's not going to be a keeper. He's not going to pop out 130s every week. One of those things in Supercoach is always tough, Joe. These players come around. If it works out, fantastic. But yeah, it's a rough one.
Against Wits.
Yeah.
And then Sherry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's, and then Grundy. Like that's a tough match. And then English.
Look at his projected scores. And like he might jump to a new standard. But imagine if he only ends up like 430K. You spent 1 trade to get him out, 1 trade to get him out. So 1 trade to bring him in, 1 trade to get him out, and then a bunch of cash to actually upgrade him to a player at that point because he's 430K. It could cost you 200K to bring him up to like a Marshall or potentially an English on the downslide. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know if we didn't have a Clossy, for example, to downgrade to. I can see the appeal because 150K, cool. But we've got downgrade options that look decent. Don't force Lloyd Meek if you guys don't have to. If you're on 35 trades, whatever. Okay. You can have some fun and do something stupid. But if you're not, it's not worth it, boys and girls.
I know some. Yeah. In our opinions. I know people are trying to liken him to Briggs from last year. Briggs was cheaper. Briggs was in the 200s, and there was almost no competition for him as the ruckman. He was absolutely dominant, and he just took it all over. And Flynn was completely dropped, never got a look in again, and Briggs was absolutely flying. Now, Lloyd Meek, we've seen Sam Mitchell. He's Bevo 2.0. You can't trust Sam Mitchell as far as you can throw him. He's a dog, bro. So I wouldn't concern myself with Meek. There's too much risk, I think, for the upside. If it works out and all the stars have to align, then it will be an amazing play. but the odds are more likely that you could come back to us in a couple of weeks saying FML.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to see Big J and Joe, I traded in Meek. What are we going to do to my team? I'm like, stop complaining.
Blessed are the meeks. Blessed are the
pretty
meek,
much.
but not the ones who trade him in, unfortunately. We then moved to Mark Keane, and 90 could have been better if he wasn't giving away descent-free kicks.
Oh, man, it was so funny to watch. I mean, I know Adelaide fans are not happy at the moment, but Mark Keane's been, what was that for, guys? What was happening? Yeah, it was pretty funny. I think we had flagged him as a potential option last week, but just being so expensive, probably not. He's going to make a bit of money. He seems to have that key defender role down pat and taking quite a few kickouts at the club. At 339k though, I think it's just done. It's too late.
Yeah, this is not the time. This is not the time to be getting in these awkward price
Right.
players. No, yeah. This is the time where you have to go either you're fully downgrading to a rookie or you're going up to a premium. Going mid-price at this point is just not where you want to be. Ollie Dempsey, definitely overpriced now, 265.
Yeah,
Good luck. Bad luck if you missed him. Ned Moyle didn't play last week. Kai Loman, if you want to know all you want to know, just head on over to DR's video. He literally gave you a video exclusively on Kai Loman. Everything that you need to know about him, DR as the number one, I'm sorry, Benny Boy, but the number one Brisbane boy, the Brisbane YouTuber, DR, he's all over it. Ball Ace, 260k for a key defender who was dropped last week. No thanks. Conway, only the one game. Lazzaro did not play. Mitchy boy, Georgiadis. He's not playing the Bombers every week, and our midfield was absolutely obliterated. But if against a tougher Fremantle defense, if he goes another 100, brah.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I don't know. I think Comben just playing key intercept defender is probably a better shout at a comparable price. But as you say, if Port Adelaide go on a tear, there's potential. But for me, it's a no.
If he's going into round 3 on the bubble, not round 3, sorry, into his third game on the bubble with 2 100s in his system.
I think at that point you have to look at it. But, yeah.
Like if he goes...
Would you pick him? So let's say if Comben scores 100 and Georgiadis scores 100 again. Are you going to pick him? You can't.
You have to.
You can't. It's not going to work out that way.
You have to though. If they're both going hundreds at 230k, you have to get them in. They become must-haves, don't they?
I think it's going to be a case of pick one or pick the other one. I don't think.
Because 100, because if you think about it, at the start of the season, we were looking to start McRae for 500k because we were expecting 100 average out of him. So if 100 is 500k, and these guys are 230 making us averaging 100, you know, in the first 2 weeks, I think the cash that they're going to make is going to be so quick that you can't afford to miss it.
Yeah. We can talk about this all night. I think it's going to be hey, let's revisit it to like next week because we're not going to bring him in early. So let's revisit it next week and then we'll go from
there. Everybody else. I mean,
I'm really glad I didn't force. Bukamis is doing well for you. I'm glad I didn't force Josh Draper in. Only scored the 21 last week, so bit of a failed pick. Slow burn at least. You've got someone who's playing, but for the next couple of weeks, probably won't be part of your best 18, which kind of hurts.
Yeah.
But he'll get to 200k. Just needs a good game also. It's not hard to jump up 80k.
Yeah, Cadman, hopefully we've seen in the captaincy video that St Kilda giving up points to key forwards.
Yep.
Hopefully, Cadman gives us some nice points. He's a -3 break even. Jack Carroll, he's already gone up 105k plus Sam Walsh coming back. Don't trade him in.
No.
Zach Williams, people are trading him out already. That's just bonkers to me. Don't do that. His break even is still 7.
Yeah, no, I know that. I think a lot of people just want some money. 275k looks all right when you've got no one else and you didn't jump on Massimo, right? So, yeah, he's going to be a keeper. And might have him at D6 for a while. So we'll see what kind of happens there.
I think we'll end this segment with this guy.
It's a tricky one. It really is. Horn Francis is, it's a real tricky one. There's a lot of people going early on him. If he scores like this, if he's averaging 100 or even like 110, could be a midfield option just in general if he doesn't get DPP. But you're kind of banking on him getting DPP, right? It is really the big thing. Port Adelaide have had a few spike games, and I think as well, seems to be taking a little bit of like what would be Butters' score, because Butters scored poorly. Rosie did quite well, but then Horn Francis just came out of nowhere and popped out of 132. So, I know you're not getting him, Joe, but would you get him if you didn't want to go closey? I know Abs is definitely jumping on the pick at the moment. What would you make it happen?
For me, he's not top 8 to 10 mid. And you're really picking him because you want him to be a keeper in the forward line or to make you a lot of money. Now, obviously, you're trading in someone who is over 400k as a cash cow. Pretty bizarre. Not normal behavior to trade in someone over 400k to be a cash cow. Now, he has had a couple of big spike games against 2 fairly weak opposition. No disrespect to West Coast, all of the disrespect to Essendon. He's not playing West Coast and Essendon every week. He just isn't. He's already had one soft tissue concern with the hammy. Yes, it didn't appear to affect him against the Bombers. But when you have soft tissue injuries and you're an explosive player like he is, risking re-injury is possible. It is during the course of the season. And you might end up in a situation where he could be having a decent game, perhaps, and he's just playing in general, and then he cops and then he re-injures it in quarter 1 or quarter 2. And then he loses all, and then he has a poor score on field, and cash generation drops. He's on 30% forward status.
Yeah, it's not locked in compared to like a Nick Martin or a few other guys.
Correct. It's not locked in. To get up to 35%, he's going to need to go over 40% CBAs, almost 47% forward status for the next couple of weeks to get forward status. So that's a lot. Around 47% forward time is a lot of time forward for an explosive midfielder. And I just don't think he's going to get the forward status. And on that basis, for me, I'm more likely to say no. On that basis, the re-injury basis, and if he's playing more forward, it means he's not going to be scoring as well. So yes, he might be getting forward status, but he won't be. You're going to be hoping that he plays just enough midfield in order for him to continue scoring okay. It's such a fine balance that you're looking for that I think that the chances of it failing as a selection just become increasingly higher the more minute you're aiming for. So for me, Horn Francis is a no-go.
Yeah. If you had the trades, and I think that's what it really comes down to this week. If you're someone who hasn't spent a lot of trades early, has some money lying around, things like that, go for it. If you think it's going to work out. But as Joe says, this week is 100% risk. Meek is risky. Horn Francis is risky. There's a lot of these players who couldn't work out. There's a lot of things going against Horn Francis. But if he works out, congratulations to you, guy. I think for me as well, Joe, I'm not going to do it. But if I had the money and I didn't have, Martin problems and Steele problems, I could be tempted.
Yeah. So this is a week that if you decide to go ballsy, it can either make or break your season.
Yep,
Absolutely.
100%.
So it just depends on what your risk tolerance is and also the number of trades you have. We've
Yep.
burnt through a lot of trades. We absolutely cannot take that risk. But if your starting team is on fire and you haven't had to be burned through a bunch of trades and boosts and you
Mhm.
feel really bullish about him as a selection, then we're not
Yep.
going to tell you no. But at least from our perspectives, if you're in a similar situation to us, we think that the risk outweighs the reward.
Mm. No, I definitely think so as well.
So if we're looking at now premium price
Yep.
players, so about
So
at
guys, you
the
guys
five.
should really be considering to bring in. A lot of these players look like they're going to jump up in a lot of money, and obviously Isaac Heaney is one that we said, hey, get him in, get him in, get him in, get him in, get him in. I think he's leading highest scorers on the ground.
He is.
Him or Zach Merritt are very, very close. So yeah, another week for non-Heaney owners. You don't have to worry. But number one on the list, Joe, Nick Martin. I brought him back into my team this week. You can look at his scoring. He's averaging a 106. It hurts not owning him. And yeah, just hoping that the role at Essendon doesn't change. I don't think it will. If you don't have him now, though, he's going to jump up in price quite a lot, and it
Yeah.
hurts. He's going to be like, let's say, plus 35 again. So he's going to be almost 570. And at that point, it's almost too late. Unless you're going to bring in Nick Martin as a keeper, like he's almost going to be too late. I mean, I'm bringing him in as a keeper, right? But like
Yeah.
he's going to be effectively keeper status or fallen primo status at that point. So last chance to get Nick Martin, I think.
Yeah. I might be looking at him next week, based on the trades that I've already done this week, which is getting Marshall in. Yeah. I'm hoping to maybe he doesn't pop off as much as he has the last couple of weeks. But the ball's going to be living in our back line. So yes, it's hard to see him not score massive. Shia Bolton had a massive game himself. He also went 133. He was electric. He is such a freak, and predicted him to be potentially a top 6 forward at the start of the year. The thing is, he does a lot of stupid shit every now and then, and like those stupid turnovers that causes him to lose points. And given the nature of his role, it's going to be a bit up and down. He'll have obviously spike games like this, but for me, I think you can afford to not get him in at 516k. You can probably get him at any point in time. I don't think he's going to have the consistency of scoring to keep his price high.
Well, that's it, right? And if you look at a lot of our kind of forward lines and a lot of people's forward lines in general, it's really much a case of, cool, we've got 3 guys now. Potentially some people have 4 if you've got Heaney, Flanders, Jackson, and a Tom Powell. It's just leave. Cool. There's a lot of other areas to fix in your team. As you say, I don't think Shai Bolton not being in your team is going to hurt. If he was 300k popping out 133s and a 94 average, okay. But at basically premium level scoring, it's a no from me.
Plus,
he's going to have a big week this week unless he gets shut down by like Elio.
Yeah. Hayden Young breaking 45. He still lost a bit of money, but he's going to make it back up again.
I hate Hayden Young so much. Him and Nick Martin, what they've done to me, Joe. That made me spiteful. I hate them so much.
You look like a scorned woman, Big J.
Oh, mate, Hayden Young. I tell you what, I might even consider bringing him in if I can't do anything else next week. Might just be cool. Hayden Young, Nick Martin back in. It is what it is. He's probably going to end up being a keeper, or at least someone who can do enough to be around the mark in that position. Sure, okay, we've been punished. Chuck him back in there. You know, it is what it is, right?
I just want to see what will he get to? What's he going to get to next week? Who does he play?
Scroll down.
Gold Coast. If he goes projected 141. Okay,
bro, he's averaged like 140. He's going to go big.
I know, it's ridiculous. He'll go up another 41. He's going to be 680.
Yep, it's going to be good.
And then if he goes a 123 against Hawthorn, he'll be 700.
Yep.
Oh man, that
Check
is
out
amazing.
what's he maxed. What's he projected to max out in price? I think that was Carlton at 730. Scroll down.
Aiden, just don't watch this part. Aiden, just
No.
skip ahead. Skip ahead, Aiden.
Uh, keep going.
750.
750. I think he's got a better one later on. Scroll down. 767.
Seven.
800K. Isaac Heaney.
He's almost 800K.
Imagine if that was the case. Oh, Joe. 800K.
What's he
I think
projected
George
every week?
George would be very happy.
Bro, his lowest projected for the year is 121.
Yep.
That's just messed up. I'm sorry.
Yep.
This is not true. This is
Heaney's effectively turned into Max Gawn from a couple of years ago, where you can just put the captain on him and get like a half decent score. That's kind of what he's projected. Like, you don't even need the vice captain, just Captain Heaney.
a floor of 121.
Not bad. Not too bad, Drew.
Good, not bad. Good size.
Not too bad.
Heppel, don't get
your
him.
team, boys and girls.
Blakey on the bye.
Yep.
Duggan, don't worry about him. Zorko, Hammy's made a pepper mache. Don't worry about him. McCluggage is one.
I think he's going to get traded at the end of the year. But in terms of Supercoach, probably not. I think the average is not there. He's going to jump up a little bit in price. But at this point, we want players who are going to come in and be a top scorer for us. Jack Steele at number 10 on the list, I think, will be there. Hugh McCluggage is not going to be there.
Travis, I promise, we don't hate Brisbane. If you had to pick one or the other, you're definitely picking Jack Steele.
Oh, 100%.
Who has had a great record against the Giants. I'm pretty sure he had a great game last time. Yeah, 135 and then a 140 the time before that. So he does, in recent history, he does like playing against the Giants. So Jack Steele, he's still sub 600K, but if you don't get him this week, he will be over 600K. So, yeah, try and get him in this week if you can. I can't, unfortunately. Maxi Gorn, he's going to go over 700K. It's going to be ridiculous.
It was potentially going to happen, right? Like when you brought him in at the start of the season around the 650K mark. Cool. He's just slapped some opponents recently, and yeah, looking very, very good.
He's going to slap Big O, isn't he?
Yeah, he will. Every time he gives away a free kick, he'd be like, Max Gorn. Max Gorn.
I might just not watch the game tomorrow, just for my own sanity. I might just avoid it, because I know I've been told by the Fantasy Tech TV boys, what am I going to do if I'm going to get onto VC? I'm going to be absolutely crucified. Willem Drew, he's had a wonderful start to this season, but he hasn't done it before. I wouldn't have the balls to go ahead and actually do this trade. But he's had a wonderful, if you're looking for a super ultra pod.
Yeah. You could have started him more. Like 40K. Very, very happy.
But then there's Connor Rosie. But I've already spoken about Rosie. He's not playing the Bombers every week. He's not going to go 152 every week. And you don't know, like, there's going to be a lot of fluctuations in his score, which means there's going to be fluctuation in his price, which means you don't have to force him in right now.
No, very true.
Warpedo, he's not going to be a top 8. At 540K, you keep him to be a keeper. He ain't a keeper. Grundy, what you do with him is up to you. I've traded him out to Marshall this week, and I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah. Those people that did start Jeremy McGovern, or brought him in over the last couple of weeks, you guys have done very well. I know Shaq was considering it. I think Squadfather
did
in a similar position as well. And as long as his body holds up, which has always been the case for every player, but McGovern has definitely had some injuries in the past. Yeah, congratulations to you. You've probably got a keeper in your team. Maybe not top position, but if he's averaging like a 120, mate, you're laughing.
God bless Qatar. They've
pretty much.
transformed his body and
Yeah,
Yo's
Elliot Yo's
body.
doing well as well.
There you go. We need to send all of our players to Qatar. To Qatar. That's
North
the
Melbourne
secret.
needs to as well. Tell you what.
Bro, we're getting injuries every week. Just let's move Tullamarine. We're next to the airport already. Just put the players on the planes and send them to Qatar, and then we can get them healthy again.
Yeah.
The Shees 88 break even, you know he's going to beat that. If you haven't got Sheasel by now, what are you doing with your life? Seriously,
Yeah.
just get Sheasel in. Kerno, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's got a 96 average, a break even of 88.
You generally don't. Key forwards generally don't become keepers. And I think, like, you would rather finish your defense with a McGovern or with a Nazaya, who we'll talk about next, instead of a Kerno at the moment. Even just looking at Nazaya, like 107 average, has a lot of games at Marvel coming up. That's a lot. And he does very, very well at Marvel Stadium. So this might be the time to jump on. If you don't want to afford anyone else, we got Whitfield last week. Wasn't the best. You don't have a situation like that. You could put him in there and be pretty happy, I think.
Oh, absolutely, you'd be happy with that. So, yeah, Naz, someone that we both started last year, because this is the type of output that we foreseen, that we
Yes.
foretold. We predicted that he would have this type of performances. Unfortunately, we went a year too early. I think I might start him next year. Just saying.
Yeah. It kind of just depends what the plan's going to be. But yeah, I think he'll do all right.
Flanders 89. Look, even if he doesn't have that halfback role that he had last week, he might have it because Dimmer Hardwick was speaking very glowingly about him.
He's still very cheap.
Yeah.
Some people don't have him. Hawks are going to give up a lot of points, so still a week to do it. Excuse me. So yeah, you should have done it already. You should have started him potentially, but
Yep.
he's getting similar to a Steele, similar to a Nick Martin. He's getting to the unobtainable status, which is really the tough part.
Correct. Now, you're not looking to trade out premiums now because you don't want to be sidewaysing. But I guess this might be an idea if we're looking at high break evens for these premiums, the type of players that you can look to trade in fairly soon when it comes to upgrade season.
Jack
McRae 223 break even.
Oh, yeah, it's rough. Jack McRae, he's going to get traded at the end of the year. You can see it already.
Probably.
If there was a mid-season trade period, Jack McRae would probably leave already. They just, I don't know. Don't get him in your team. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, potentially.
2-week average of 48. Not great.
No. Darcy Parish, I love the guy, but you don't trade in the injury risk. You start them. And Darcy Parish has already had a soft tissue now. That's why he's had a delayed start to the year. He's only played the 2 games. You can see he's still trying to warm up to the season. Only a 76 average in his first 2 games. He's going to drop a lot. And obviously his scoring will improve. But he could get injured at any point in time after that. And for me, that's too risky.
I don't think he's ever been. Yeah, I don't think he's ever been top position or top 8 to 10 ever. So unless you just want him as a pod.
2019, he averaged 120.
All right. So a while ago.
Yeah. He's been injury prone ever since. Tom Stewart, super keen to get him into my back line. 168 break even. He might not even see the ball this week against North Melbourne at GMHBA Stadium. So hopefully he does give us a stinker there. And we can get him in for cheap in our back lines. It would be beautiful. Maybe Massimo plus 200K.
I'm looking at him as well. Just kind of depends how much he's going to drop. What happens with my backline at the moment? Is my last spot going to be Tom Stewart potentially? Am I just going to have Nick Martin as a defensive mid swing? I could do that as well. So yeah, we'll see.
He could be Massimo plus 200.
500K.
Oh yeah. LDU. I'm actually looking at potentially getting this guy in at some point because the role is still there. For some reason, he's just not scoring. 95 average. Hopefully he goes down a lot more and then we can trade him in and then up we shoot, potentially. We get him in right as he finds form. That would be perfect.
Yeah. When he finds form is kind of the hard thing to predict at the moment, which is the tough part.
Look, he's still playing like shit, but averaging 95. So when he starts to,
True.
like, it's still pretty good. Zach Butters, 127 average. You can, if you don't have him, you can afford to wait. Obviously, he's got a very high break even, 159. Same thing with a Tim English, 154 break even. If you got a Grundy and you're hoping to maybe hold on to him for probably 4 more weeks, while potentially English starts to drop a bit more. Hopefully, Grundy can go up a bit more, and then you can maybe add 50 to 100K to get Grundy up to an English, perhaps. Yeah, but I think English will go pretty close to that this week, though. So
I don't
wouldn't
know.
be betting.
I want him. I want English at 600K. It's not going to happen. I want him at 600K. Grundy flipped to English, but yeah.
I'd still be looking at Clayton Oliver. There are rumors out there, though, that he's not going to play this week. They're going to give him this week off as well as the bye to rest that hand of his so that he can really recover from it. Because you could tell it was affecting him last week. He wasn't properly grabbing the ball when he had it. So I think from the reports, Clary's not going to play this week or next week, obviously due to the bye, which is amazing because that means that 156 break even carries forward till after the bye. So I think Clayton Oliver, he is going to be under 500K. He could be around 450, 400K for Clayton Oliver.
Yep. It's going to be a real tricky one at the moment, isn't it? Because if he ends up at 450K, can we even trust that he's going to be a keeper for the whole year?
Yes.
Maybe we end up benching Clay. I don't know. He's not been in my rankings at the moment. So, yeah, wait and see. Similar to a Dawson for me. It's a really big wait and see what you do with these kind of players. I think I have more faith in a Dawson than Oliver, but we'll just see what happens. He's going to drop. He's going to be 450K. It's going to be fantastic.
I can't wait. Nick Newman, 76 last week.
Yeah.
You didn't want to see that. Sarong, 94 last week, despite starting super slow against the Carlton midfield, which is really strong. If you missed him at the start of the season, there you go. High break even. Could be one team that you look to get in if you're really bullish on him being a top 8. But this Luke Jackson one, what would you do if you own Luke?
It's scaring a lot of people away. It really is. The big thing with Jackson and me is I don't own him, so whatever. But no, that's a bit mean. I'll just keep him. He's averaging enough to be a forward keeper at the moment, and he hasn't made you enough money that it was going to be a case of, okay, you go from like 300K, now he's 600, you look to offload him. You brought him to be that kind of player, right? So if he's averaging a 95 in the forward line, fantastic. A lot of us have a Grundy swing at the moment. We don't know what's happening with Sean Darcy. He could come back. Sean Darcy 100% could come back.
He's back this week.
And play half a game, Joe. How shitty would you feel if Sean Darcy came out, played half a game, and you've traded out Jackson? It's going to happen.
I wouldn't feel too shit.
It's going to catch a lot of people.
I wouldn't feel too shit because, I mean, his break even's now super high at 152. We know that with Darcy in the side, he doesn't average as well. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people were thinking of trying to get a lot of these early points from him until when Shrek Darcy comes back. Now, he could average 85 to 90, around 90 in the forward line and be a keeper, sure. But getting 90s out of someone who's about 600K probably isn't the best use of money. You could use that money to get another Uber Primo mid instead, who are going to give you more than 90s every week at around this. Like, what's Steele? Steele is less than this, and Steele can go 120s every week.
Yeah, I guess kind of that's the thing, right? But it's a tricky one. really is a tricky
It's a
one.
tricky one. For
If
me,
he's on a
I would
keeper,
trade him out.
okay. If you trade him out, then that's all right. I have more power. I have a better feeling of trading out of Tom Powell and getting a keeper than I do at Luke Jackson,
Sure.
because you just know he's going to be there around the mark at least.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, Jordan Dawson, he's got to turn it around. He's got a 99 last week, 151 break even, still super high. Against Carlton, tough team to score against if he's in the midfield. He
Mm,
could get to 500k, which is bonkers. Um,
yeah.
if Dawson's at 500, you take him, plain and
Mhm.
simple. I'll be happy to trade him back in. Obviously, I started him, but I traded him out when he was full price. Be more than happy to bring him back in at around 500k. He is better than that,
Yeah.
especially if Crouch moves on. Because if Crouch has been around ever since Crouch came into the team, Dawson has not scored 110.
Hmm. Well, that's
Is
it,
it
right?
correlation?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like Crouch is in, Dawson scores shit. Crouch is out. Dawson's like, hey, I'm awake. I think Tex Walker being out or Tex Walker not playing as well definitely has a factor. We've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
Their forward line's in a bit of trouble, so the mids just aren't getting the score assists and contested marks and even the good disposal efficiency from kicking to someone who's actually there. That definitely affects it, but I'm more than happy. Clayton Oliver at like 450k. Okay. Jordan Dawson at 450k. Get in my team, Joe. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens over the next couple of weeks.
He might not get
That
all the way
99
down to
is not.
450.
If you were hoping to get him cheaper, you really wanted that 99 to be like a 70 or an 80, because that 99 is going to start to push up his break even a little bit, I think, or bring it
Yeah.
down. It's the other way around. Yeah.
I know some people like Errol Goulden. Obviously, I love Errol Goulden. He was in my team last year. 107 average with a 145 break even. That's pretty
Mhm.
cool. But obviously, he's on the buy this week, so you don't have to get him in this week, obviously. But one to get in the future. This guy is one that I'm really hoping can drop down for us, bro. He's too good.
Yeah, at least I don't think he'll go up unless they smash Brisbane like Petrarca at 200. Imagine if that happens, Joe. But yeah, I think around this price is obtainable. Obviously, you've spoken about having to use a boost to get him in. But yeah, it's watch and see for Petrarca. You need him in. He's playing every game at MCG from now till eternity, till the end of the season. So yeah, a bit of a
Yeah.
watch there.
And the good thing is you don't have to get him in ASAP because he's got the 140 break even this week, the buy next week. And depending on how he scores this week, then you can potentially even afford to wait a week or two after the buy as well. But you should still have in your mind that Petrarca should be one of those 8 mids that you've got on your field every week. Because
Oh
if you
well, I
miss
mean,
out on him, it's going to hurt.
yeah, I mean, like every year, Petrarca has been a top 8 since I've been playing Supercoach. So you need Petrarca in your team.
He maintained a 650k price tag all year last year.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I think
So,
JD picked him up at like 580 last year, and then that was it.
was it?
Look up, yeah, I think there was a part last year where he had like a bad game. Yeah, so like just at the
Oh,
start,
yeah. And at the
picked him
start of
up
the year.
round six, 570. Then after that, bang.
Yeah, but that wasn't because he had a bad game. He had 297s,
So that's
119,
what I'm saying.
103,
Like
110.
he was just the price when he came out
The
with like
price
100
tag.
average. It didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the high the magic number is obviously higher at the start of the season.
Yep.
And as the season progressed, he just maintained a 650k price tag. So yeah. Uh that's about Tom Green, if you don't have him, 134 break even. Will probably hover around this point, to be honest.
Mm.
I can see him scoring 120. So he might hover around the 650k mark
Yeah.
for most of the year.
I think he's going to drop down a little bit. Maybe he keeps popping out all these like 100 scores like he did last week. I think he's going to drop down to maybe around 620 mark, and people can jump on if they want to. But
Hmm.
we'll just wait and see. I think he's very capable of doing a 109 this week, and then next week like a 160, which definitely
Yeah,
excuse
potentially.
me evens everything out. So yeah.
Yeah. you got a Luke Ryan 127, looks like he might average. What do you reckon? Luke Ryan averages about 115 to 120.
I hope so. I brought him in at 620k or whatever he was, 640k. So last week I was hoping for a much better score, and he fell off right at the end. If they're starting to play him a little bit more accountable, there is minor warning signs there. I wouldn't be bringing him in anytime soon. Now you get in your primo mids and your cheaper guys.
Yeah, Rowell and Miller, both are in the 120s.
Rowell is very exciting. Tuke Miller, I think I'm glad I dodged him a couple of weeks ago. We have mentioned on stream and whatnot beforehand, but Matt Rowell and Tuke Miller both play North and West Coast twice. So there is potential for some decent scoring. But I think Matt Rowell seems to be the better one. Tuke Miller is almost being made to play accountable at the moment. So he's tagging or he's guarding or he's doing something else, whereas Matt Rowell's like, cool, I'm Matt Rowell, run away. So, yeah, Matt Rowell's got a much better average. Look at those scores difference as well. 130 average at the moment. So if you could get some money, I'd throw some money at him. Potentially top 8 in the position, which is good because he's always been around the mark.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Dunkley could be a sneaky shout if in the second half of the year Ashcroft comes back. And we saw how great the midfield mix looked with Ashcroft in there. And he was pumping out some ridiculous scores, like in the 130s. So Dunkley in the second half of the season, when Ashcroft is back, could be a sneaky selection as well. So I'm monitoring Dunks. He's a great player. You don't become shit overnight. Andy Brayshaw, he's one massive 124 last week. Is he going to be top 8 to 10? Well, he outscored Sarong last year. He could do it again this year. But at the end of the day, it all falls down to what that midfield mix is going to look like again. Fife, if he's managed, when he's not managed. Sarong's in there, Young's in there, he's in there, in and out. I still trust Sarong over Brayshaw personally.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. Sarong just seems to be better. We saw the kind of the stats going into the season. Sarong basically rated a lead in everything. I think Brayshaw, a lot more accountability is put on him than Sarong.
Cool. I think that should be all of it. I'm getting Marshall in now, a 120 break even. It's not necessarily the lowest, but I think he could beat that against Briggs, who has had a pretty slow start to the year. If he does beat that, then guess what? His price is going to start to go back up again, and you might not see Rowan Marshall at 605k for some time if you're looking to get him in. So that's why I think I'm timing it okay with the Grundy trade out. So if you're looking into Roma Tomato, this is a good week for him, I think.
Yeah, just kind of quickly moving down that list. Dan Houston, going to be around that price, I think, kind of has been effectively that price all season so far. Zach Merritt, one to monitor. Hopefully he doesn't drop in price. Sorry, hopefully he does drop in price, but the 115 break even is not great. It sucks. Jack Sinclair, a similar position as well. I know a few people are looking at bringing him in. And then like your Sean Darcy watch and stuff, really. Is there anyone else? Let's quickly just go down to like 50 and see if there's anyone else. Nick Dacos, I've seen some people taking him in and out. Probably wouldn't do that. It's going to hurt you in the long run there. Missing out on trades sucks. Keep going down, Joe. Let's go like 5 more. Neil, potentially. Matt Crouch is one to monitor if you hope he's going to be a keeper all year. 112 average at the moment, so he's still on the mark. Is there anyone else? 5 more, 4, 3, 2, and then Sheasel and Landers. So probably not. We've spoken about everyone else at the moment.
Yep, exactly right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We've obviously spoken about a lot of players. Probably some players that weren't on your radar, others that probably might be. Just given the landscape with where we're at right now with all these decisions over who to trade in, who to trade out, we're getting close to upgrade season. And so having an idea of the type of premiums that you can trade in, who to have on your radar moving forward can help you make these plans. And so we hope you really enjoyed our deep dive breakdown of all of these players that we've covered today.
Yeah, 100%. Stockpile your cash if you can. bring in the guys with the low break evens. There's no real pressure outside of a Horn Francis and a Meek who, are going to be on the bubble this week. There's a lot of controversy between those two players. So let us know down in the comments, which one are you doing? Are you bringing any guys in? Are you bringing those two players in who I just mentioned? Let us know.
Make sure you guys hit the like button if you like what you heard, the subscription button if you're new, and hit that notification bell to not miss out on any of our videos and streams. The streams are out every Thursday at 5:30 for the drive home and Monday evenings at 7:30 p.m.
Guys, it's going to be a long season. We're having a lot of fun putting out all the content and getting all of you guys on as well. We've had, close to 100 people watching both days. So it's been bloody fantastic. Thanks for all the support. Here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you guys don't have to. Bye for now.